The morning after Amanda's arrival at the Okeke mansion, she woke to a cool breeze drifting through the open windows of her guest room. For a brief moment, she wondered if the previous day had been a dream. But when she saw the grand view of Onitsha's skyline from her window, she knew it was real. She had arrived at the place that might hold the answers to her life, yet the uncertainty weighed heavily on her heart. Dressed in a simple white dress, Amanda walked down the grand staircase, her footsteps echoing through the marble halls. As she entered the expansive dining room, she found Madame Okeke sitting at the head of the table, sipping tea, while the rest of the family seemed distracted. Chisholm, who sat across from her, eyed Amanda with suspicion. His sharp gaze never wavered, as though he was waiting for her to make a mistake. Amanda took a seat next to Madame Okeke, offering a hesitant smile. The older woman gave her a gentle nod, as if to reassure her that she was welcome. But the tension in the air was palpable. "Good morning, Amanda," Madame Okeke said warmly. "How did you sleep?" Amanda returned the smile, though her nerves were evident. "I slept well, thank you, ma'am. The house is beautiful." Madame Okeke's smile faded slightly, and she placed her teacup down gently. "We've had this house for years. It's become both a home and a prison. Too many memories, too much loss." Amanda looked up, catching the hint of sorrow in the older woman's eyes. She wanted to ask more, but she sensed that now wasn't the time. Instead, she turned her attention to the food on the table, various dishes she had never seen before, but all fragrant and inviting. "Would you like to join us for a tour of the estate later today?" Madame Okeke offered. "I thought you might enjoy seeing the family gardens." Before Amanda could respond, Chisholm's voice broke in, sharp and cutting. "Amanda might enjoy the tour," he sneered, "but I doubt she'll be around long enough to see it all." Amanda's stomach churned at his tone. He had made it clear from the start that he didn't want her here, and now it seemed like he would stop at nothing to make her feel unwelcome. Madame Okeke shot a warning look at her grandson, but Chisholm was undeterred. "Do you think they'll just let you waltz in here and take what's ours?" he continued, his voice dripping with disdain. "What's your angle, Amanda? Are you planning to steal our fortune?" Amanda felt her cheeks flush with embarrassment, but she refused to let Chisholm see her discomfort. She held his gaze steadily, refusing to let him undermine her presence any longer. "I didn't come here for your fortune," she replied, her voice steady but firm. "I came here to find the truth. Whatever that truth is." For a brief moment, Chisholm looked taken aback. Then, his eyes narrowed, his lips curling into a dismissive smile. "The truth? There's nothing to find. You're just a nobody looking for a way into a family that's already been divided by its own blood." Madame Okeke stood up abruptly, her voice strong and commanding. "Chisholm, that is enough. I will not have you treating her like this." The room fell silent, and Amanda's heart raced. She had never seen a woman of Madame Okeke's stature lose control like that before. But there was something in her voice, something that showed she would not tolerate disrespect, especially in her own home. Chisholm scowled but remained quiet, clearly unwilling to push further. He had no choice but to swallow his words, though the venom in his gaze remained fixed on Amanda. "Perhaps it's best if we get some fresh air," Madame Okeke suggested, her tone softer now. "The gardens will be a better place for us to talk." Amanda nodded gratefully, sensing the tension had shifted just enough for her to breathe. Madame Okeke led the way to the grand doors that opened into the lush estate gardens, where the scent of blooming flowers mixed with the fresh air. Amanda followed closely, but Chisholm's eyes remained locked on her as he trailed behind. As they walked among the carefully manicured flower beds and tall, ancient trees, Amanda began to feel a sense of peace that had eluded her since her arrival. The beauty of the surroundings, combined with Madame Okeke's calm demeanor, began to ease some of her anxiety. "You must be very proud of this place," Amanda said quietly, trying to break the silence. "It's so peaceful." "I used to be," Madame Okeke replied, her voice tinged with nostalgia. "But now, it feels like a monument to what we've lost." Amanda didn't press further, sensing that there was more to the story than what Madame Okeke was willing to share. They continued to walk in silence for a while, the sound of their footsteps the only noise in the otherwise still air. Finally, Madame Okeke stopped in front of a fountain, its waters glistening in the sunlight. She turned to Amanda, her expression soft but serious. "Amanda, I want to ask you something. Why didn't you just stay in your village? Why come all the way here to meet people who might not even accept you? Amanda paused, her gaze falling to the ground. The truth was, she didn't have a clear answer. But she knew that no matter what happened, she had to find out who she was. I had to know, Amanda said softly, lifting her eyes to meet Madame Okeke's. I had to know if I belong somewhere, if I have a place in this world. Madame Okeke's gaze softened, and she reached out, placing a gentle hand on Amanda's arm. I understand, dear. And I'll do everything I can to help you find your way. But as she spoke, Amanda noticed Chisholm standing in the distance, watching them intently. His expression was unreadable, but Amanda couldn't shake the feeling that his loyalty was to something darker, something that would challenge her every step of the way. The following afternoon, Amanda sat in the study of the Okeke mansion, waiting anxiously. Her mind swirled with unanswered questions. Chisholm's words still echoed in her head, casting a shadow over her thoughts. Could she really be part of this family, or was she simply an intruder hoping for a place where she didn't belong? It wasn't long before Madame Okeke entered the room, followed by the family's lawyer, Mr. Ease. He was a tall man with a stern demeanor, but today his expression was different, almost as if he carried a weight on his shoulders. Good afternoon, Amanda, Madame Okeke said kindly as she gestured to a chair. I thought we should meet here. Mr. Ease has something important to share with you. Amanda stood up, her heart pounding. What is it? Is there something I don't know? Madame Okeke took a seat beside her and gave a gentle nod. Mr. Ease, please. The lawyer placed a thick envelope on the table and opened it slowly, his fingers deliberate, as though he had done this many times before. This, he began, is the will of the late patriarch, Chief Okeke. And it is what will determine the future of the family. Amanda's breath caught in her throat. She hadn't expected this. She had assumed that the family's history was simply locked in the past, too distant to touch her. But this was different. This document could change everything. Mr. Ease pulled out a single page, unfolding it carefully before reading aloud. To my beloved family, he began, his voice steady but full of gravity, it is my wish that the rightful heir to the Okeke legacy be known, not by blood alone, but by heart, strength, and honor. Should my daughter, Chinyere, have a child, it is to that child that the Okeke fortune will pass. But if she is lost, then the one who carries her legacy, whether by blood or fate, shall inherit all. Amanda's eyes widened. She was hearing words that she had only dreamed of in the quiet of her own thoughts. The will didn't just speak of inheritance, it spoke of a deeper connection, one that tied her to this family in ways she hadn't yet understood. Madame Okeke looked at Amanda with a mixture of sadness and resolve. Amanda, I believe this is your mother's will. Chinyere was my daughter, your mother. You are her child, and the Okeke family legacy belongs to you. The weight of the revelation hit Amanda all at once. She had always felt something was missing, a sense of not quite belonging. But now, this truth made everything she had experienced feel like part of a larger story, a story that she had never known until now. But I thought I was adopted, Amanda whispered, her voice trembling. I thought I was abandoned as a baby. Madame Okeke nodded. You were, but it was not by choice. After the accident that took Chinyere's life, you were found near our estate. I knew you were hers. I knew you had to be. I asked Mama Amanda to raise you here, away from the chaos of the world, to keep you safe. Amanda's mind raced, trying to process everything. She looked at Mr. Ease, as though seeking confirmation. What does this mean for me now? Amanda asked, her voice barely audible. What happens next? Mr. Ease adjusted his glasses and cleared his throat. It means, Amanda, that you are the rightful heir to the Okeke family's wealth and title. The Okeke name is yours. The will has confirmed it. Amanda's heart pounded, the room suddenly feeling smaller, more confining. She had come here for answers, but she hadn't anticipated this. She hadn't expected to be told that she was meant to inherit something so vast, so unknown. But with the fortune came responsibility. A new world of expectations, duty, and the weight of history. Chisholm's face flashed in Amanda's mind. She could already hear his angry voice, accusing her of taking what was rightfully his. She could feel his resentment, his refusal to accept her place in this family. What about Chisholm? Amanda asked, her voice filled with uncertainty. He won't accept me. He won't accept that I'm part of this family. Madame Okeke sighed, a deep sorrow in her eyes. I'm afraid that's something you'll have to face, Amanda. Chisholm is the only heir who has known the Okeke wealth and name, and he's held it for a long time. But the truth is the truth, and it cannot be denied. Amanda looked at her hands, trembling slightly. The news felt like a weight pressing down on her chest, making it harder to breathe. And what about me? Amanda whispered, the question barely audible. Madame Okeke reached out and took Amanda's hands in hers. You have the right to decide how you wish to live from here on out. The wealth is yours, but your future, your choices, they are yours to make. Amanda looked up at Madame Okeke, her eyes filled with gratitude and doubt. I don't know if I can handle all of this. It's a lot to take in. You don't have to do it alone, Madame Okeke replied softly. You have me, and you have the family. We'll help you every step of the way. As the weight of the truth settled in, Amanda felt a deep shift within her. She had come here to find out who she was, but now, with the truth revealed, the journey was just beginning. The path ahead wasn't clear, but for the first time, Amanda felt like she might be ready to face whatever came next. Amanda stood at the entrance of her childhood village, the familiar sights and sounds filling her with a sense of nostalgia. She had not been back here in years, and though everything looked the same, she felt like a stranger in her own land. The village had remained the same, the narrow dirt roads, the bustling market, the children running around and playing without a care in the world. But Amanda knew, deep in her heart, that nothing would ever be the same for her. She stepped forward, taking in the surroundings with a sense of purpose. The village, though vibrant with life, had always been struggling. Few had access to education, and many lived in poverty. But that was about to change. Amanda had returned with a plan. Namdi, who had accompanied her, walked beside her, his eyes scanning the familiar faces that greeted them. He had known this place well, having worked for the Okeke family in the past. He had always admired Amanda's resilience, and now, as she returned to give back, he felt a deep sense of pride. Amanda, Namdi said softly, the people here have been waiting for you. They don't know it yet, but their lives are about to change. Amanda nodded, her mind focused on the task ahead. I've been given an opportunity, she said, her voice steady. And I won't waste it. I want to make sure the children here have a future, that the women can learn a trade, and that the village thrives. Together, they walked toward the small building that would soon become the heart of her efforts, the Tailoring Academy. She had secured funds from her inheritance to build the academy, providing a place where young girls and women could learn the craft of tailoring, just as she had. But that was only the beginning. Amanda had already made arrangements to sponsor the education of several children from the village. She wanted them to have the opportunity to pursue a better life, one that wasn't confined to the hardships of their rural existence. As they approached the academy, Amanda smiled. The structure wasn't much yet, just a simple building with wooden walls and a thatched roof. But to her, it represented the beginning of something transformative. We'll need to bring in instructors, and I'll be overseeing the training myself, Amanda said, turning to Namdi. But I also want to start a fund for the children's education. I want to see the village grow, not just in wealth, but in knowledge and opportunity. The academy was just the first step. Amanda had bigger plans for the future of her village. She had been in touch with various NGOs, and now that she had the means, she would be able to contribute toward building better infrastructure. Clean water, healthcare, and perhaps even a school for the children who dreamed of something beyond the village. As Amanda and Namdi talked about the next steps, Mama Amanda arrived, her frail form moving slowly but surely through the dirt road. She had been waiting for them, as usual, at the edge of the village. Mama, Amanda called, her voice full of warmth. Mama Amanda's eyes softened when she saw her daughter, but there was something unreadable in her expression. She had always been proud of Amanda, but now, with her newfound status, things felt different, more complex. Amanda approached her mother and embraced her tightly. I'm home, Mama. Everything is going to change now. I'm going to make sure this village has everything it needs. Mama Amanda looked at her with mixed emotions. She had always known that Amanda was special, that she was meant for more than the life they had known here. But she also knew that all of this, the wealth, the legacy, would have been something Amanda never asked for. You've done well, Amanda, Mama Amanda said softly, her voice thick with emotion. But don't forget where you came from. I won't, Mama, Amanda replied, pulling away and looking at her mother with sincerity. "That's why I'm doing this. For all the children here, for the women who never had a chance." Mama Amanda nodded, her eyes misting with unshed tears. "You've grown so much. I never wanted to tell you the truth. I was scared of what it might do to you. But now I see, you were always meant to do something great." Amanda reached out and took her mother's hand, holding it gently. "I don't blame you, Mama. You did what you thought was best. But now, we'll build a future together. I won't forget my roots. And I won't forget you." They stood together for a moment, the weight of the years between them settling into a quiet understanding. Later that afternoon, as the sun set over the village, Amanda stood in the courtyard of the academy, looking out over the land. Namdi stood beside her, a quiet presence, as if sensing the depth of the moment. "You've done it," he said, his voice filled with admiration. "You've made a real difference." Amanda turned to him, her eyes filled with determination. "This is just the beginning. I will continue to help the village grow. I'll help it thrive." She paused for a moment, the weight of her words sinking in. "And I'll make sure that the people here never forget that they have the power to change their own destiny." Namdi smiled. "You're the true heir of the OKK legacy, Amanda. Not just because of the inheritance, but because of your heart." Amanda nodded. She had found her place in the world, and it was here, with her community, building a future for herself and for the people she loved. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the village, Amanda knew that her journey had only just begun. A new chapter was unfolding, and it was one she would write with her own hands. The end. Please subscribe and like, for more videos.